Good evening, welcome to Edge Hill Business School. My name is Charles Knight. I work in the business school. I'm just going to say a couple of words and then I'll let Helen speak for herself because she's far more interesting than I am. I'll let you into a little secret before Helen does her talk. One thing that business schools have never been very good at is working with people like Helen who set up and run their own small and medium enterprises, which is surprising because in the UK, there are 4.8 million businesses, and over 99% of those are small to medium enterprises. They employ less than 250 people. And of that number, 96% employ less than 9 people. So within the UK economy, there are vast numbers of people working for people like Helen. But business schools spend all of their time chasing McDonald's and all of these big multinationals, where the backbone of the economy are the small and medium enterprises. And for us in the business school, increasingly, and I've just been networking with Helen and trying to convince her to come and talk to us a bit more often, we're trying to build links with small and medium enterprises. And to that end, we're developing a number of different degrees within the school. If you're interested in, this is where I do my little bit of a pitch, if you're interested in postgraduate study, we have a management and enterprise degree coming up, which is an MSc. If you have any desires to do an undergraduate degree, or maybe you have children who are looking to do an undergraduate degree, we're developing an enterprise undergraduate degree, which is designed specifically for people who want to set up and run their own businesses. Because at the moment, there's a lot of doom and gloom about the economy, but I think people like Helen are a real inspiration for what you can do, because before I came along this evening, I was Googling you and looking on YouTube. There's lots of videos on YouTube. And the amount of different businesses that you've been involved with, you've set up, and your current business opportunity that you'll talk about tonight, it's real inspirational. And with that, Helen, I think I'll let you get on to the main event.
Thank you, Charles. Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am delighted to be here tonight. This was my university in about 3 years ago, so it's wonderful to be back and to see the vast amount of new building work going on. It's amazing. Tonight, you may have got a small gift from us, which is a gift box of sauces. That is our newest business so far. We make gluten-free, kosher accredited sauces. And you've got a gift box of sweet chilli, barbecue and sweet and sour. I understand we're doing nibbles afterwards, so you can try them out later if you want. But what I thought I'll do today is just speak to you for about 20-30 minutes, just about our journey, my sister and myself, Lisa sitting in the audience, and talk to you a little bit about what we've done so far, where we started off and where we hope to go. So I've got 8 tips for success, and the reason why we use 8 is in the Chinese culture, 8 is a very lucky number. It actually means to get rich, to be successful. Now, this is one of my favourite phrases. It's a journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. And I wrote a book in 2007. And the front cover of the book actually has that phrase in Chinese. And I believe in it very strongly because everybody here is on a journey. And I'm so pleased that you've joined me tonight, taking that first step to learn about our story. We're a family of foodies. I am the 4th generation to make a living out of food and the 3rd generation of women restaurateurs. And really I have to thank my grandmother, Lily Kwok, who gave me the inspiration to return to our family roots. In actual fact, my background, I started off life as a lawyer, and then I decided to join Edge Hill to train as a teacher. And it was such a wonderful experience to come here. I really, really enjoyed my time doing the PGCE. And that actually has helped our business enormously. We run a restaurant and a cookery school. And that cookery school has a contract with Manchester City Council to teach food technology, things like dim sum masterclasses and healthy eating, to 174 schools in the Manchester area. So to do the PGCE was extremely useful to me and to my business. And changing direction was, quite a big step for us. But, Edge Hill made it very, very easy. The tuition, the facilities was fantastic. And it really gave me that confidence, because as a teacher, you've got to speak to students, and you're a very good student. There's nobody throwing rulers at you at the moment, so it's quite an easy audience to talk to. And our family originate from Manchester, not far from here. And my grandmother, Lily Kwok, she came from Hong Kong. And she built up her life from Hong Kong and came over to the UK. She came over actually as a maid, where she looked after the British families. And there she learned how to cook and create her sauces. And I'm really pleased to say that the sauces that we've gifted to you today are her recipes. So I do hope that you enjoy them. If anybody's read my book, Sweet Mandarin, the kind of crux of this talk is really based on that. My book opens with this statement. It says, "My grandmother, Lily Kwok, was born in 1918. She kicked so hard the midwife thought she was a boy. That strength and energy stayed with her all her life. And in short, her story is my story, and it's the story of Sweet Mandarin." And as I talk to you about our journey, I hope that you'll understand why I gave up the job as a lawyer, and why, by returning to our roots, it's something that's so fulfilling to me and to my family. And I believe that, the basis of how we've built our business is we have to take 100% responsibility. A small business, like Charles said, does employ, 9 people and less. And, a lot of the responsibility does lie with you. And just like when I decided to retrain, I made that choice, and I had to hit the books again, and that was hard. Doing assignments, your brain's not used to, studying like that, but you have to take the responsibility if that's what you've opted for. And just like the sauces, we have a USP in that we are the only gluten-free, vegan accredited, kosher accredited sauce in the whole of the UK. And the only way we've managed to do that is to make it ourselves in a dedicated factory. We did go to many, many different manufacturers to ask would they co-pack, but they couldn't give us that guarantee that they could get those accreditations, which are so important to our core business. And so therefore we put our money where our mouth was and bought a factory and have continued producing it ourselves. I don't know here, does anybody use Twitter? Yeah. Well, our Twitter address is @sweetmandarins. We have about 40,000 followers, and that's how we get our message out. I mean, I've tweeted today that I'm at Edge Hill giving a talk, and already I've had people, message me and say, "Good luck, well done, hope to see you there." So it's really nice to communicate your message, your brand, to a wider audience that typically you couldn't necessarily meet, in one night. That's the power of Twitter, and that's how we try to build our business, through social media. Point 3, we're very passionate about giving back to community, which is why we work with the schools on the programs that we do. There is a saying, a child's life is like a piece of paper. Every person they meet will make their mark. And I truly do believe that. I remember going into a classroom during my time on the PGCE, and at that point I never knew how to discipline a class, and it was terrible. It was really, really hard. I learnt my lesson pretty quickly, and the week after I had different techniques on how to improve the discipline. And those kids, they want to be disciplined. They want to have the leader in the class being the teacher. And, that next week I gained their respect, and then on. And we actually got through quite a lot of good work. And what I've learned is that although I'm teaching, for example, I learn so much more from the students. It's amazing what you can pick up. And they're really, so much fun as well. We also have this school on Saturdays where we teach members of the public how to cook. Basic Chinese and dim sum, stir fries, and how to cook healthy. And it's a lot of fun. So you might ask, why has somebody who, started off life as a lawyer, given that up, returned to the family roots? Well, to be honest with you, it all stems back to my grandmother and learning about her story. We went back on a family trip in about 2002, back to Hong Kong, and back to the village where she grew up in Guangzhou. And we saw where she lived and the life that she had. And we were so inspired to do something to continue this family legacy. You see, our family has never had it easy. Our family's history is really a roller coaster. We've had to endure a murder, utter poverty, and the isolation of being an immigrant family. Those were not easy times for my family, but it has been food that is our lifeline that's pulled us through generation through generation. I learned about my grandmother and how she travelled from Hong Kong to the UK in the 1950s by ship. That journey took about 3 months. So, and it wasn't that pleasant. She wasn't on the first class lounge, she was, servant lounge, and it was really, really difficult times. And this ship would stop off at different ports and countries. And as she stopped off, she'd learn about different spices, different ways of cooking. And by the end of her journey, she created her very own curry, which we call lily-quat curry. She actually served that to the likes of the Beatles and Sir Cliff Richard, as well as these other sauces that we've launched. And, it was thanks to her inspiration, thanks to her entrepreneurship in the 1950s, that, we were so inspired to return to our family roots. I mean, she set up probably about 2 restaurants and 4 takeaways in her heyday. But when we were born really in utter poverty in the back streets of Manchester, where really the only expectation of our life was that we would stay away from the drugs or wouldn't get into trouble. So you may question why, what happened? Well, unfortunately, as her wealth increased, so too did her love for casinos. So we are a huge advocate against gambling. I won't even buy a lottery ticket because of what gambling did to our family. It totally ruined our family, and we lost all the businesses but one. And that's where we grew up, in a takeaway in the back streets of Manchester, serving. And I remember, getting out of my school uniform, getting changed into my overalls, and asking people, would you like some vinegar on your chips? And I remember that I really hated being myself. I hated being poor. I hated being Chinese. So much so that I would try and put a peg on my nose at night time to try to make it straighter like Little Women. It didn't work. It's still as flat as anything. And I really wanted to be someone different. And I was very, very insecure. Now, I remember a crossroad, and everybody will face a crossroad at some point in their life. And my crossroad was when I was 11. I wasn't doing very well at school either. I just didn't enjoy the lessons. I didn't enjoy going to classes. Didn't enjoy listening to the teachers. And I hated working in the chippy. I hated it. And I remember one night, it was Saturday night, and I was helping my mum serve the customers. And then this thug walked into the door and he demanded a bag of chips for free. And my mum, who's on the left-hand side, being the principal woman that she is, said, no, you're not going to get a free bag of chips, you pay like everybody else. And he proceeded to hit her. And she fell back against the wall and she collapsed. And when you see that as a child, you'll never forget. You'll never forget that pain of that assault. But I also won't forget the words he said after he punched her. He said, get back to your country, you this, that and the other. Words that I won't repeat here. They were horrible words. And it made me think, hold on a minute. Get back to my country. This is the only country I know. I'm from Manchester, I'm born and bred here. Where am I going to go? Although I didn't like myself, I wasn't comfortable in my own skin, I still felt this was home. And from that day forward, that was my crossroad. That was something that made me think, how can I improve our life? How can I improve my family's life? And that's when I decided to study law, to know my rights, to protect my family. And I believe that when I graduated from Cambridge University and qualified as a lawyer, I not only fulfilled my dreams, but those of my mother and my grandmother. So it was a big step really to leave the law and become a teacher and return to the food industry. But it was that desire to give something back to community that perhaps a lawyer can't really do in such a big way. You see, we used to go shopping on Saturdays with my grandmother, and every bottle and packet that she picked up would tell a story. I guess when your whole family works in food, food becomes like a family album, triggers memories. And that's what we want to do with our sauces. We want to give a little bit back to every household in the UK and beyond. And I guess that passion has resulted in rewards. We've been given awards for not just food and drink, but also for teaching, for educating our team, for working with people, for business, for giving talks. I believe, things have to be given back once you earn it. You can't just take. And so here are some of the press releases that we've been in. For example, The Independent nominated me the Small Business Woman of the Year Awards, or their kind of thing. We've been in the Morrison's magazine. Things have been featured about us in Russia. We also supply our sauces to the Queen. She wrote us a lovely letter. We framed that. My mum's ever so proud. And I do believe that, given the short amount of time we've got in this world, we do have to live our life on purpose. You have to go for your passion. You have to do what you want to do. You have to do something that will make a difference, because that's how you are going to impact the world. You see, money is just a residual thing. If you chase the money, it's not going to happen. You've got to be more than just the money. You've got to have that interest, that passion, that desire to either offer a service or offer a product. So, when I did the teaching course here, I was so determined to be the best teacher. And had I continued to follow that route, I hope, would have hoped to be the head of the school. My next point is, learning is a treasure that will follow its owner everywhere. That's why I am so dedicated to, return to my university to give this talk. And I'm so dedicated to tell people about Edge Hill. If ever I have anybody who wants to know a good university, I will tell them about the excellent time I've had here. Because, once you've learned something, no one can take it away from you. Now, I don't know whether you have Kindle, but if you're interested in learning more about my story, you can actually download that book on Kindle. And my final point is, follow us on Twitter, keep in touch with us on Facebook. Networking does work. I can tell you a little story about how I got my book deal, but it was all about networking. You'll be amazed, the 5 degrees of separation, how close the world can be if you really want it to be. And we was talking to one of our friends, and I said to them, I want to do a cookbook. Here's my recipes, and in the recipes, the stories behind those recipes. And she took it to, this is Jessica, one of our friends, she took it to a number of publishing houses, and it was Random House that said, yeah, I want to buy the story behind the food. Not the cookbook just yet, but the story behind the food. When I heard that, I thought, you know what, I don't really want to do that, I want to do a cookbook. And Jessica was like, you're mad! Random House is like the biggest publisher in the world. So I said, okay, I'll do it, but I've never really written a book before, so I'm not too sure whether I can do it. This book went out to 33 countries. It became a book for the national curriculum in the UK, in Hong Kong, and in America. I was flabbergasted. I couldn't believe that my story about our family could impact so many people's lives across the world. To me, it was just not interesting, it was just my story. But you know what? Everybody's got a viewpoint. Everybody's story is important. And until you network and you talk to other people, you don't realise, what you can do, what you can give back. So, in conclusion, do keep in touch with us. And really, I come here tonight just to act as a bridge. If I can help you, I'd be very happy to. And of course, if I can help Edge Hill, it's my pleasure. Thank you very much. Now, I don't know if you've got any questions or whether David wants to talk.
Can I ask you a question?
Of course you can, Charles.
I'm always interested when I meet successful people. How do you manage your time? Because I have this problem, I'm not successful, but I can't say no to people and things.
I've got a BlackBerry, so I'm constantly checking emails wherever I go. That actually is quite bad. My husband gets really annoyed with me when I keep checking the BlackBerry when I'm walking. He says, one day you're going to bump into a lamppost and then you've had it. But I guess what I do is I do lists every day, so I've got a to-do list.
Right.
And I get through that list. And until I've got through it, my day's not over. The amazing thing about email is that you can email day and night, can't you? So I do. And that's how we get our leads. I use a lot of LinkedIn. And there you can find a lot of buyers and contact people. But really, it's getting the word out and making sure that your product is A1.
Any other questions? Anyone want to ask you a question? Gentleman at the back.
I want to ask you about being in front of the dragons.
Yeah.
What was that like? Is it intimidating as some people project, or tell us more about that?
Dragon's Den was probably the most scariest thing I've ever been on. They had a mic, and my heart, it was this side, and my heart was beating so fast they had to stop filming because all they could hear was boom, 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 boom. It's exactly what you see on TV. You don't get any second chances. We had to go to the studio for 6 a.m. We waited till 6 p.m. before we actually got our slot. And then when we got our slot, we were grilled for 2 hours, standing on our feet without any papers or figures. It was so scary. But it was a great experience.
Any other questions?
Yes, obviously you've mentioned, Helen, what it was like on Dragon's Den, but one thing I'd like to know is, what was Gordon Ramsay like?
He was like a pussycat in comparison. He's actually very nice off camera. He's quite a different persona. I think he's just got a TV Gordon and then a normal Gordon. I think that night was really quite something. We finished service at midnight, and then they put us in a car, blacked out windows, and drove us all the way to London, to an unknown destination that I still don't even know where it was today. And then they presented us with our chef outfits, and then they said, right, here's all your chicken to start cutting. I mean, we're talking about a pile of chicken that much. I haven't slept yet. So we was cutting away, and then suddenly we heard this voice, "Hello, Helen," and I dropped the knife, and I nearly dropped it on his foot. So that was my introduction to meeting Gordon Ramsay. It was quite something. But he was very nice, very supportive, and you know, I think he's a lovely guy. He's really supported us in our business, and you know, really good to meet him.
What are your business aims over the next 5 years?
We have a restaurant in Manchester, which we hope to continue. That's our core business. You know, we love it. We look after our customers like their family. And then from that, we've extended to these sauces. We've got a range of 3, but we'll be extending that range to probably 6. Then the next strategy of our business is licensing. So we're going to be, the brand Sweet Mandarin is going to go on various different types of products. So we're talking with different manufacturers to launch those Q3, Q4.
Any other questions?
Yeah, with the licensing, would you worry about quality? I mean, so much of what you've been saying, Helen, is about doing things at the very high standards, which I know that you achieve in your restaurant because I've eaten there. I know you achieve with your sauces. The more you go into licensing activity, the more you've got a problem about keeping control of the quality. Is that something that worries you?
Oh, definitely. That's why we're very careful who we partner with. I mean, we do our due diligence. We look at their kind of product range and see whether it fits with ours. And we're selective as to who we actually start talks with.
And what kind of products will you add your name to?
We've got a range of cakes coming out, so Oriental style cakes. Also a gluten-free mince pie for Christmas. We're going to be doing ready meals. There actually isn't a Chinese brand known for quality in the whole of the UK at the moment, and we are going to tap into that market. And we're also, because we do exotic cocktails, we're also going to do a range of drinks, alcoholic drinks like lychee vodka and, you know, sweet chili, strawberry daiquiris.